Now evolution teaches that here on the earth was some goo. Now I call it goo, but in the books sometimes they'll call it primordial soup, primordial seas. There's lots of different names for it. But what you have to understand is nobody, and I mean nobody, has ever seen this stuff they talk about. It's just an idea. It's just a story. Right? But from this story, they teach that from this goo is where life began. And their story is that maybe some chemicals got together just right, or maybe it got zapped by lightning. But they say out of this goo came life. And evolution teaches that the first life was a cell, a very simple cell. Now you guys understand cells, don't you? Cells are those little bitty tiny parts that make up our body. We have a whole bunch of cells stuck together to make you who you are. Well, when Mr. Darwin and them first looked at the cell, they didn't think there was a whole lot to it. Thought it was very simple. But we know better today. Today we have microscopes. We can look right inside of a cell, and we have discovered cells are very, very complicated. See, your cell is like a city. Let's say New York City. The things that go on in there. For example, take a look right here. Now, as blood is going by your cell, it's carrying all kinds of things. One of the things it's carried that's very important is food. This food somehow goes through the cell membrane and gets to the inside. And it goes into a little food factory. Now, in this food factory, there's some little molecules, some little guys. They take this food and they chop it up. Chop, 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 chop. And they take all the good stuff out. And then there's some little molecules, guys, again, that come up and pick up all this food and run around inside and feed everybody else that's within there. Sometimes there's some food left over. God provided that too. Inside the cell are actually little guys, little molecules that they take and they store that food for future use. And then you get a little more complicated. There's the sewage. You know, when you go flush the toilet, turn on the sink, all that stuff has to go someplace. It goes down sewer where it gets cleaned up. Did you guys know that within your cells there's actually molecules, little guys, that's their job to pick up all the sewage and the waste. They package it where they ship it out for your larger organs to take care of. And then you go right to the middle in the cell, and in there they have there's little generators, little dynamos. These little dynamos produce energy, all kinds of energy. In fact, one of the types of energy is electrical energy. If I came up to you guys right now with a hammer, smacked you on the toe, what are you going to do? You're going to, aren't you? Why? Because when I smacked you on the toe, there's a little nerve cell down there, and it's an electrical chemical signal shooting up your body, up through your spinal cord, into your brain, told your brain, hey, that fool just hit me, and it's hurt. So what do? Well, you yell out, don't you, to share your pain with everybody. And it all happened by electricity. You guys are full of energy, all kinds of energy. And then you get real complicated. They went right to the center of the cell in what they call the nucleus, and they discovered something called DNA. You guys ever heard of DNA? Well, that's the short name for it. It's a really big, long name for a special acid. DNA is the building code for who you are. It's the blueprint. When you were only one cell big, when that cell was fertilized, the DNA started telling your cells how to grow. How short you're going to be, how tall you're going to be. What your nose is going to look like, your ears were going to look like, your eye color, your hair color, your skin color. Everything about you was in that code of life called DNA. It is so complicated that even today we don't understand everything about it. But what we do know is it's full of information. In fact, what they have determined, that if you took enough of that DNA, now remember, you can't actually see this DNA, it's so small, but if you take enough of it to just put on a pinhead and then sit down and read all the information out there and type the information into book form, you would end up with 500 stacks of books, guys, 500 stacks of books that went clear to the moon on a pinhead of your DNA. Now, is that simple? No way. Say when Mr. Darwin and some of the ones that made evolution very popular, they looked at the cell, didn't think much of it. But today we know better. There's no such thing as a simple cell. It is so complicated that it only could have been done by intelligent design. Somebody smart had to make that. But evolution teaches different. They say no, it actually happened by chance and by accident, that first cell.